Hi guys, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I have compiled a list of what are, in my opinion, the most masculine and classy fragrances for men. So the fragrances in this video are not for boys, they're not for teenagers, they're not for early 20s, these are for the men. These are the classiest fragrances for men within my huge perfume collection. I'm going to start out with this fragrance from Chopard. I have spoken about this several times on my channel in the past. This is Oud Malaki. Now, what is fantastic about this scent is that you can find it online for a really good discount, probably as low as like $40 maybe. The fragrance is fantastic. It certainly doesn't smell like it should be discounted at all. What you're going to get with this scent is a really smooth, almost leathery, woody, creamy, boozy scent, and it is just fantastic. You'll have to excuse me because I am a little bit sick today. I can feel like a cold coming on, so my senses are not at their best, but Oud Malaki is absolutely fantastic. It really is this very classy and sophisticated woody scent. Very smooth, quite creamy, a little bit sweet. It has a slightly leathery facet, something sweet in there as well, but it is just fantastic, you guys. Like, I really recommend this one, especially considering the price. So 10 out of 10 recommend it. It smells really refined, really classy, and extremely masculine. Longevity and projection is fantastic. I get around 8 hours of really good wear with this one, with a pretty big projection. Like, people around you will definitely be able to smell you. So the first recommendation is Chopard Oud Malaki. If you want to look at the notes of any of these fragrances, you can download Sniff, which is my mobile application dedicated to perfumery. It is fantastic, super easy to use, and you can find all of these fragrances on Sniff. Next up, I'm going to go to an amber fragrance. If not the best amber fragrance that has ever been created. I hope that I have piqued your attention, because this fragrance right here is absolutely fantastic. This is Ombre Sultan from SULTAN. As you can see from the bottle, somebody is wearing this scent. Somebody in my apartment is wearing this scent, and it is not me. It is my partner. He is obsessed with Ombre Sultan, and for good reason. This fragrance just smells, it just hits differently on a man's skin. Like, I really have to say that this fragrance is for a man. It is truly incredible. What you're going to get with Ombre Sultan is probably one of the most opulent, incredible amber fragrances to ever exist. This is very warm, balsamic, deep, ambery, woody. It is just spectacular. I am going to put the notes on the screen so that you guys can see, but overall, what you're going to get is something slightly sweet, very balsamic, very warm, very enveloping, very woody. It is just spectacular. If you like fragrances like Grand Soir from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, which I could have put into this list, but in terms of amber fragrances that smell like class, sophistication, old money, luxury, it has to be Ombre Sultan, in my opinion. This is extremely masculine, extremely commanding, very opulent. 10 out of 10 amber fragrance with beast mode. When I say beast mode, I truly mean it. You do not need many sprays with this one. Ombre Sultan is going to last around 8 to 10 hours on your skin with a really nice projection. So definitely recommend Ombre Sultan from SULTAN. It has been in the industry for a very long time. SULTAN is an iconic brand. A lot of people know about this scent, and a lot of people have respect for this amber fragrance because it is one of the best. So next up, we're going to go to something more fresh, and you guys, I love this fragrance, and as you can see, it is from Parfums de Marly. This is DARLEY. Now, as you guys know, I do really enjoy Parfums de Marly, more specifically for their men's fragrances. For women, not so much, but for men, I feel like they just kill it every single time. They're very good at doing more deeper Middle Eastern ambery fragrances, but they're also really good at doing fresh fragrances. And DARLEY was one of their first fresh fragrances that they ever launched, and it is fantastic. It is nothing innovative or like a fragrance that you have never smelled in your life, but they did it to perfection. If you don't know how this smells, this is your typical barbershop, Fougere, classic Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male type of DNA. And DARLEY just hits perfectly. It's aromatic, it's fresh, it has that really like barbershop DNA to it, lavender, geranium, a little bit of the sweetness. It is just incredible, you guys. Like in terms of a long lasting yet fresh Fougere, DARLEY is probably one of my absolute favorites. So I really recommend checking this one out. If you are a fan of something like Le Male from Jean-Paul Gaultier, but you kind of want to, I don't know, find something similar but up your game a little, I would recommend checking out DARLEY. It has something really nostalgic about it, but still a little bit modern at the same time. It's just fantastic and very long lasting as well. I know because actually my nephew, I'm gonna laugh when I say this, I think he's 12 years old this year. I think he's turning 12 this year, and he is wearing DARLEY, and I just think it is the most funny thing ever because technically this is like a pretty like masculine, classic, nostalgic type of scent, and my like 12-year-old nephew is wearing this fragrance. The Riz. I am in love with this fragrance. I have not worn it myself in a very long time. I have not smelled it off of anyone in a very long time, but this is one of my favorite fragrances in this list, I have to admit. This is Sycomore from Chanel. This is the Eau de Parfum Concentrate. And my god, you guys, is this fragrance incredible, and does it smell so masculine, so classy, so refined on a man's skin. Sycomore, if you don't know, is a Vetyver scent, and they have highlighted the note of Vetyver in such a beautiful way. And I do want to give you guys like a pro tip right now. If you ever see Vetyver in a man's fragrance, go and give it a sniff to see how it smells, because Vetyver is often associated to men's fragrances. It's associated to class, sophistication, kind of like an upper class type of fragrance. Vetyver always comes off in a really classy way and a really masculine way as well. This is a very spicy and woody Vetyver scent with a slight green touch from the note of pine. Like, it definitely is a little bit reminiscent of nature. Like if you were to walk in a beautiful forest with massive trees around you and cypress everywhere, like it is slightly reminiscent of that, but done in a very classic and classy way. So I really recommend checking out Sycomore. It is absolutely a 10 out of 10 in terms of masculinity and classiness. It just hits the spot perfectly. Longevity and projection on this one is pretty good. I get around 6 to 8 hours of really good wear. With a nice projection, it's definitely not gonna go very far. It's gonna stay quite intimate, but it smells fantastic and I really recommend this one. Next up, we have Jubilation from AMBRE, and you can see this is another one that my partner has worn a lot since we met. This fragrance is the epitome of class to me. This just smells so refined, so well done, and so classy. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but it just works, you guys. This is a very smooth woody scent with a lot of spice, resins, a little bit of a sweetness. It's very warm, it's very well rounded. Like, nothing in this fragrance is out of place, nothing smells too harsh. It has been blended so beautifully that you don't even know really what you're smelling. Overall, you're getting a very smooth woody scent with a slight freshness, something slightly resinous, a little bit sweet, but it is just a 10 out of 10. I cannot recommend Jubilation enough to you guys. If you want something really sophisticated, classy businessman, very masculine, this is the fragrance that I would recommend. I was considering putting in Reflection from AMBRE because I also absolutely love that fragrance. I feel like AMBRE, they definitely know how to do a good classic masculine fragrance. You have Epic, you have Jubilation, Reflection, you have so many that they do so well, but the one that I have to put my foot down and recommend is Jubilation, because I have had the experience of smelling it off of somebody and I cannot recommend it enough to you guys. A 10 out of 10. Longevity and projection is fantastic. It lasts around 8 hours on the skin with a minimal projection. It's, again, not going to project too much, but it will last on your skin. So totally recommend this one, especially for a formal situation, a work situation. It just makes you smell really suited up, if that makes any sense. A little more affordable, we have, of course, TERRE. I will quickly breeze through this one because if you guys watch me, you know that I am a big fan of TERRE. It just smells so good, and in my opinion, it is one of the very few designer fragrances that I think will be able to stand the test of time, even in 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's still going to be relevant because the DNA is just so classic of this scent. It again is a Vetyver fragrance, so it smells really sophisticated and really classy, but this is more of a fresh Vetyver scent than Sycomore. This has a little bit more of a brightness on top, a little bit of a citrusiness, a bit of a pepperiness, and then you have the Vetyver and some dry kind of woody touches underneath. It is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. I will continue to recommend this one until all of you go out and buy it. Not everyone is going to like it because it is in this video after all, and we are talking about classic, masculine, manly, sophisticated scents, and some people don't really want to smell like that. But in terms of a really easy classic fragrance, this is the one that I have to recommend. It is a 10 out of 10. In terms of the concentration, I like the Eau de Toilette the best because it definitely has the biggest projection, the biggest sillage. People will definitely be able to smell you within your proximity. Like, people will be able to smell you for sure when you wear the Eau de Toilette. So that is the one that I'm going to recommend the most. It's just a great fragrance. It's timeless, it's classic, it's sexy, it's masculine. 10 out of 10. Next up, we have a newer fragrance to my collection, and I think that this fragrance deserves so much attention. Really, I think that this is such a well done fragrance, and I really wanted to put it in this specific video. This is Aridal from Xerjoff. Look at how beautiful the bottle is. Now, this fragrance is not for me personally, as in I would never wear this fragrance because I find this to be extremely masculine on the skin. I want to smell this on a man because I believe that this is an extremely sexy, masculine, sophisticated, classy fragrance for men. And I'm going to tell you guys something right now. I think that this fragrance right here, Aridal, is like a niche version of Fahrenheit from Dior. I don't know why I have this comparison, but when I smell it, especially when I smell it on somebody's skin, I feel like it's a niche version of Fahrenheit. Don't take that comment and run with it. I am certainly not saying that they smell exactly the same, but I am saying that if you're somebody watching this video who loves Fahrenheit, it's masculine, it's sexy, it's powerful, you have to try Aridal from Xerjoff. I just have this feeling inside of me that if you're somebody who likes Fahrenheit, you will appreciate Aridal. Now, what you're going to get here is a very smooth and well-blended woody scent with a slight kind of powdery creaminess. Something like there is some note that is quite similar to a note in Fahrenheit. I don't know if it's like violet leaf or I don't know. I just feel like there is something similar, like that little bit of like tire, petrol-y note that's in Fahrenheit. I can feel it in Aridal, and I just want you guys to go out and try this one. Let me just tell you, this fragrance is fantastic, but like I said, I would never touch this fragrance on myself. It is way too masculine for me. Very woody, creamy, smooth, slightly gasoline vibe. I don't know where I'm getting that. Very, very luxurious, very classy, and very masculine, and also very long lasting. This one lasts around 8 hours on the skin with a minimal projection. Highly recommend Aridal from Xerjoff. This is not very sweet or mass appealing. This is for all of you that want something very niche and very masculine. Then you can try this one. Next up, we have a fragrance from Penhaligons, and if there is anything that I can say about Penhaligons is that they definitely do masculine, classy fragrances really, really well. I feel like that is kind of the image of the house, is that very classic, timeless, and you know, old school kind of vibe. Now, the fragrance that I'm going to recommend to you guys is called Endymion Concentré. Now, this is one of my partner's favorites, and it smells so good and so, old school on him, but in the best way possible. I would never recommend any fragrances to you guys that will make you smell bad. You're only going to smell good if you trust my recommendations. This fragrance just has that typical barbershop DNA. A lot of lavender, some bergamot, some geranium, and then you have a touch of frankincense in the base, which gives a little bit of a resinous feeling. And then there is also a note of leather and suede, which, to be honest, I don't really feel the leather and suede too much. You mostly get a beautiful, very strong barbershop, slightly soapy, slightly resinous fragrance on the skin, and it's just incredible. I really recommend this one. It smells especially good in the air. This is something you can wear to work, to, I don't know, day to day, casually on a trip. It's just a really easy fragrance to wear. Smells good, smells fresh, smells classic, smells masculine. So Endymion. The longevity is good, not great. You're gonna get about 7 hours, 6-7 hours of pretty good wear with this one, with a nice projection. It's definitely not beast mode, but it is going to last on the skin. So really recommend this one. Fantastic, classic masculine scent from Penhaligons. Next up, we have the daddy of all Fougere fragrances. This is Fougere Royale from Houbigant. If you want like the best, the ultimate Fougere fragrance to smell manly, classy, fresh, this is the one to get. Honestly, you guys, Fougere Royale still to this day is relevant, still to this day smells freaking fantastic. I think it's the most beautifully done Fougere fragrance that I have tried. It just smells fantastic. It's very green. It has that aromatic lavender geranium sort of touch. It's very green though, but in a very smooth way, quite herbaceous, a little bit woody in the dry down, but very fresh at the same time. It's just fantastic. There is nothing bad to say about Fougere Royale. An incredible, incredible Fougere fragrance for men. If you're a fan of Fougeres, you have to own this one. You at least have to go and try it because it is the king of all Fougeres. So Fougere Royale from Houbigant. Longevity projection is good. It's around 6 hours of really good wear with a nice projection. This one is just, I don't know, perfect in terms of a masculine, fresh Fougere scent. This one is perfection. Fougere Royale from Houbigant. So the next fragrance might be a bit of a shock to you guys, and I will explain. This is Indigo Tanzanite from Armani Privé. This fragrance is relatively new, like it just released last year, but it has something very classic about it in my opinion. And I think it's the fact that it contains patchouli, which for me, patchouli when done in a certain way can smell very classic, very masculine, very timeless. And I love the patchouli in Indigo Tanzanite. I think it smells very masculine, very smooth, very classy. This fragrance is very well rounded, very smooth, almost slightly gourmand in a way. You have a note of almond in here, you have benzoin, you have a milky touch, you have some heliotrope. So it's very cocooning, it's very rounded, but you do have the presence of patchouli and amber, which for me, patchouli and amber always bring this kind of classic masculine DNA to a scent. Like I said with Vetyver earlier, patchouli and amber do the same thing for me. So I really did want to recommend this one to you guys, especially if you do like a more, I don't want to say sweet because it's definitely not like a sickly sweet fragrance. It just has a slight sweet touch and it's very well rounded, very creamy, very blended, and it's just beautiful on the skin, you guys. Indigo Tanzanite is insane. Longevity projection is around 8 hours of really good wear with a nice projection. People will definitely be able to smell you and probably compliment you because of that little edible touch going on. Next up, we have another Vetyver based fragrance. I told you guys the notes, if you want to smell classic and masculine, are Vetyver, patchouli and amber. That's what I feel like. Oh, and lavender I would say as well. So this fragrance right here is called Saint Vetyver from Durga. Now you guys, this fragrance is so masculine, so assertive, just so well done in terms of a Vetyver fragrance. So what you have with Saint Vetyver is more of a nutty Vetyver scent. Sometimes Vetyver itself, when you smell the raw material, can often give off a nutty vibe. And in this fragrance, I feel like they really pushed that facet. Like it really has a nutty feeling overall. Then you have a little bit of spice in here. You also have a booziness that's quite prominent. You also have a seaweed note, but it doesn't smell too much in the scent. But overall, this is just a really interesting and fantastic vetiver fragrance. I would recommend this to the guy who is a little more artistic, maybe, who wants something a little more niche and abstract. This is not going to be for everyone. I would say Coromandel is more of the classic vetiver fragrance. The DS and Durga is more for you gentlemen that are a little more creative, want something a little bit more different, but it smells fantastic. I wouldn't recommend it otherwise. It's vetiver, it's nutty, it's a little bit boozy, a bit spicy, it's fantastic. Really recommend this one. Really good longevity and projection. This one will last around 7-8 hours on the skin with a minimal projection. So Saint Vetiver from DS and Durga, highly recommend checking it out. The last fragrance on the list is from Ranier J, and this is Lavande 44. Now, as the name would suggest, this is a beautiful fragrance based around the note of lavender. Again, kind of like your standard Fougere. I will say though, this scent is not linear at all. Like, it definitely takes you on a journey. The fragrance opens with a lot of lavender. Like it's lavender. You're walking through lavender fields, and that's what you're getting when you first smell the scent. But the evolution of the fragrance is really interesting. As the lavender starts to go away a little bit, it becomes almost sweet and resinous and woody in the base. Like, it has a really beautiful evolution. So I do recommend this to all of you guys that like your Fougere fragrances and you want something very interesting, a little more niche, and has quite a journey. It starts out fresh with the lavender, the bergamot, the musk, and then it starts to go into more of like a darker direction, which I have found this house, Ranier J, they do dark fragrances really well. So I just want to let you guys know this one, it has a really interesting journey. The base of this one is a little bit sweet, a little bit ambery, very woody in the base, but it's overall just a fantastic fragrance that I would really recommend to you guys wanting something classic and masculine and Fougere and commanding. Definitely check out Lavande 44, and it also has a fantastic projection, around 8 hours on the skin with a really decent projection. So check this one out, Lavande 44 from Ranier J. With this video, you probably saw that I only mentioned very classic scents, like a lot of lavender, a lot of patchouli, a lot of amber. There are, of course, a lot of other fragrances within my collection that I would consider really masculine, really classy. But I wanted to keep it not vintage, but a little more like typically what women associate to a masculine fragrance. Like all of these fragrances here, I would smell them on a man and be like, that's a masculine guy. So that is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will speak to you very soon.